think that went strong.
All right, Steve Walls here alongside Darren Smith here at Arrowhead GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. Exactly.
We're at Arrowhead.
We're post-game live from the field. Chiefs Raiders. The Chiefs pitch a shutout, man. 31-0. I call skunks at 21-0, but ended up being 31-0 final score. Darren, what say you for this Chiefs grade today?
Hold on, you want me to grade them already?
Yeah, that's what we starting with.
I give them A+.
Okay. A+?
A+.
Okay.
Perfect game, because you know why?
Why is that?
Harrison didn't miss any kicks. We talked about that post game too. He didn't miss any kicks. The offense, they didn't have to punt to the fourth quarter, and that was just by choice. I think the first 5 possessions they scored on it. So there were essentially some long drives too. So overall, everything looked good. You had some doubts pre-game about how much she was going to be involved. I thought they were just going to throw the kitchen sink at him, and they did.
Yeah.
He scored 2 touchdowns today. So this is what the offense looked like, and what they said that the players said that it would look like throughout the summer. And it lived up to expectations with everybody out there, everybody healthy. I did talk to Patrick in the locker room before he went to the podium. And I asked him, I said, is 30 to be the norm? Like the line in the sand. Now, he told me to his credit that he didn't want to put a number on it, but he did say he expects to score every time that they have the ball. Yeah. He said they expect to score every drive. So, figure out the math on that.
And speaking of that, the Chiefs did score every time that the first team offense had the ball.
Yeah.
Compared to the Raiders when they punted every time their first team offense had the ball. Let's talk about that for a second, because of course, beginning of the game, I said that pre-game, I said that Rashee Rice may have to get his legs under him first before they acclimate him totally to this offense, and they threw him out there, and it was
I told you
a 2-touchdown game for him. I did not expect that. However, it happened, and I just want to get your thoughts on this offense as a whole. You said scoring 30+ should be the norm. I don't know if that, because it's the sample size that we're looking at is just the Las Vegas Raiders, a team that's not very good.
That's fair.
Yeah, so I would say you should at least get there should not be a game where you're having to put the onus on Harrison Butker to kick 50-yard field goals.
Yeah, no, look. So there's a lot to unpack with what you asked me. So how I thought the offense looked is essentially, I told you how they did Rice is how they did Worthy, essentially, because they lost Worthy third play of the game against the Chargers, and we saw when he returned in against the Baltimore Ravens just how much of that particular game plan was geared towards him. So I felt that they knew they would be without Rashid. They knew they'd be without for a certain period of time. So I'm pretty sure they had some plays lined up just for him. And as I told you Monday, the Red Eye, I always felt that once they got him back, the first thing they wanted to do was get him a touchdown in the end zone to get the broader crowd and just get everything as they feel back together again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, based off of this is you and I, we covered the team for years. Based off of what they told us at training camp, OTAs, even the preseason, of what this offense could look like and what they expect from this offense, we shouldn't be surprised.
Right.
Now, granted, from our vantage point, we see them all the time, so it's different from what the fans see, at home. But from our conversation with them, locker room, training camp, whatever, it's not really a surprise, which is why I tell people, and we were talking to some fans before the game ended, that I have high expectations. Like, to me, it's kind of like a la Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin. The standard is the standard. We have high standards here based off of what we've seen the last 7, 8 years with this team.
I agree.
So if they're holding themselves up here, we in the media should expect nothing less than that. And
Right.
so that's how I feel.
Yeah, and granted, you still
I hope that
have.
answers your question.
Yeah, it
Okay.
did. Because here's the thing, and it's not only me. I mean, you have Chiefs fans that are watching. You guys can put in the chat your thoughts. But you have fans that are like, we've heard it all before,
Yeah.
right? And granted, the things that they've heard before hasn't been with an offense quite like this, except when they had Tyreek Hill, who was just,
I think
out of this world.
it's funny. I think 2018 offensively before Kareem Hunt was cut, when they put up the 51, even in the loss to the Rams, I think that was a high priority because Patrick threw for like 50 plus yards, 50 touchdowns,
And 4,000 yard.
I think it was 5,000 yards as well. But I
Yeah.
think, but I think even in 2022 when he won a second MVP, I think what made that season so special, and that was an explosive offense. What made that season so special was the sheer fact that that was the year Tyreek. They traded Tyreek, but you had so many different moving parts. People want to know how Patrick was going to respond to that, and he responded in spades. So it's funny because technically this offense with all the speed and I think that's the difference between this one and the other teams that he had that he won MVPs on. I think it's the amount of speed that he actually has on the squad. Because when you look at Pacheco in the backfield,
Right.
you look at Brown, you look at Worthy, you look at Rice, you look at Hollywood Brown. I mean, and then of course, players underneath, getting the inside stuff with Kelsey and Gray and Rice and Juju. I mean, even in those years, Patrick didn't have the type of weapons and options that he has right now.
Of course. And you mentioned all those guys. 9 different players caught a pass from Patrick Mahomes today.
Which again, we talked about pregame on the pregame cheat sheet.
Yeah.
How were they going to, spread the ball around?
Mm-hmm.
And again, X factors. I mean, you talk about injury. I said, man, I want to see how you spread the ball around. Again, with so many options,
Mm-hmm.
and they actually did a couple of creative stuff today, which I give them credit for.
Yeah.
But with so many options, again, you talked about, I think when they went maybe 5 wide or stuff, it's like, and Patrick going to run the football for a first down, it's like, and I ask you, when you got it like that, because you can't double, you double somebody's going to be eventually open.
Yeah.
Or you give Patrick a chance to run. When you got it like that, and I'm just asking, and it could be redundant, you can answer, but how do you stop that type of offense?
I mean, you don't. We saw it today where they went 5 wide. Everybody was manned up, right?
Yeah.
Talking from the Raiders' point of view, they manned up on everybody across the board. And Patrick had nobody to throw to. Instead of forcing something, he took a 10-yard run and got a first down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and granted, like I said, and folks watching, I don't want you guys to feel like, oh, well, this is because we're talking about the norm here, what will be the norm. I don't want you guys to feel like that will be the norm because, of course, it's a Raiders sample size is what I'm calling because their team is not very good. Of course, Max Crosby left the game early with I believe his back and his knee. And so this Raiders team is not the same Raiders team that we've seen over these past few years.
No, it's not. But again, I mean, nobody's gonna cry. Nobody's gonna shed a tear for him. And but to your point, in the locker room, got a chance to talk. I talked to all defensive players and Harrison Butker after the game. So those interviews will be posted later. But just talking to them, they wanted to first and foremost establish and stop in the run, and I think they take great pride because we always talk about how they've been able to stop Henry, minus the Tennessee game years ago, but this is a whole different defense, but they've been, but they take great pride in, okay, you got a running back that's coming in either a big name or averaging a lot of yards. Now we're gonna put a stop to that. I mean, even how they did the two-headed monster last week, where they kept him under 100 yards total. So, I mean, defensively, I like to think that the Chiefs have been up.
21 yards rushing, Ashton Genty had.
Yeah, I remember you asked me 33. I was like, no, I won't touch that.
Yeah.
But I mean, no. So I'm thoroughly impressed. Again, I hold this team and the offense, especially the offense, to us because again, talking to Trent, they get to go up against this offense day in and day out. So here's the thing: they're at full strength,
right?
And as I asked Trent, I said, because we're at full strength, you all get to go up against them. How does it make you all better as a defense, especially when you got to take on the subsequent opponent or whatever? And he said that iron, and I think Rasheed said it in the presser, iron sharpens iron, to where if you can do well against them,
Yeah.
they should carry over to the field game day.
Of course, of course. Chiefs beat Raiders 31-0, shutout game. First shutout.
What was your grade for this game?
Um,
Hold on, nah,
I'm
gonna pull at me.
gonna give him I'm gonna give him an A+ like you.
Okay.
I mean, because it's a shutout.
Look like you had some doubt though.
No, it's a shutout, and Andy Reid has never had a shutout since he's been with the Chiefs.
Huh?
He's never had a shutout since he's been with the Chiefs in the regular season. In the regular season, he's never had a shutout game, and Trent even talked about it. This is the first time he's been a part of a shutout since he's been in the league.
Well, technically, technically, the Chiefs got shut out in January by Denver.
Well, I'm talking just on the flip side. Yeah, on the flip side of that. So it's I think going forward, it puts a lot of, because we know Andy Reid and his creativity, man, and that's one of the things I want to ask Coach Reid. And I didn't get to ask him today. We saw Patrick, and it was going floating around on Twitter where they had I think it was a 4th and 1, and they had both guys running, and Patrick's like, F that, just never worked. I wonder whose creativity is that? Is that Patrick kind of doing improv, or what is that, and who came up with that?
You know what? When I started, I should have asked him in the locker room. That's what. But again, I wouldn't, because I knew that he always talks at the podium. It's kind of hard to have any type of conversation with him in the locker room. So the fact that I talked to him about it, and that just did not cross my mind, because we talked about it upstairs in the press box about that. But yeah, that's what you say the least. But again, and look, and let's also give a shout out to Harrison Butker.
Mm-hmm.
He was perfect on his kicks, all 4 extra points and the field goal. I did ask him, did it do something? When he saw that first kick go in, does it do something mentally to where, it goes in versus it not going in, to where you feel like it becomes, rolling down the hill where everything else will start working for you, and he said it did. So shout out to him. We talk about players when they do bad.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about when they do good. Yeah. And 4 weeks in a row, Jawan Taylor has we haven't heard his name on the broadcast.
Of course, that's a good thing.
So,
all right, you can catch myself along with Darren Smith, Sean Tyler, also DJ Q tomorrow on the Red Hour, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. right here, wherever you're watching us on your social media platforms. Check in tomorrow with us. Myself, Darren Smith, Sean Tyler, and DJ Q. Darren, any final thoughts from you for today?
Well, I guess the question is, with you, I've talked about it, but I want to ask you, whether it's 30 points or not, but should what we see out here going further, should this be the norm? And if not, why do you think that would be?
Let me start with this.
Or let me say this. Or do you feel like it puts pressure on them to be able to do this week in and week out now?
Yeah, I think it does. It puts a lot of pressure on them, and not only just as far as the offensive player's perspective, I think it does a lot for Andy Reid, because you showed what you can do. Now, I would say you got 2 weeks that if you can continue this, that should be the standard, right? Like if you can go out on a Monday night against Washington when they come here at GEHA Field, and then you can travel up to Buffalo on a short week, and then going into the bye week with 2 more wins and you're scoring 30 points, there should be no question of that. This is the type of offense that we have.
If you see them playing like this, does the AFC Championship game come through Kansas City again?
It should. However, if the Chargers went out, then
if the Chargers went out, they'd have to beat Kansas City again.
Yeah. So I'm just saying. Other than that, yes, I do.
Okay.
Because you think about it, the top teams are beatable. We've seen Buffalo. We've seen Buffalo. We've seen the Cincinnati's lose. Those were the top teams in the league.
But Pittsburgh
as well.
And
then you have the Colts. All these teams are beatable.
Yeah.
So here's what it is. Chiefs beat the Las Vegas Raiders 31-0 right here inside of GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. We appreciate you guys sticking around and hanging out with us wherever platform you're watching this on. Remember, you can catch myself, Darren Smith, also Sean Tyler, and DJ Q tomorrow right here on whichever social media platform you're watching us on. For Steve Walls and Darren Smith, we are out of here.